a cloak. Power is the leitmotif of his second term. For the record, he disclaims royal aspirations. I'm not a king, he said after millions of Americans took to the streets in No Kings demonstrations in October. But at the same time, he embraces the comparison, at least in part to troll his critics, but also, it seems, because he enjoys the notion. He and his staff have posted images of him in monarchical regalia, including an AI-generated illustration of him wearing a crown and flying a fighter jet labeled King Trump that dumps excrement on protesters. He delighted when the South Koreans gave him a replica of an ancient golden crown. Long live the king, he wrote about himself on social media. To his supporters, Mr. Trump's assertion of vast power is invigorating, not disturbing. In a country they see in decline, a strong hand is the only way to dislodge a liberal, woke deep state that in their view has suffocated everyday Americans to the advantage of unwelcome immigrants, street criminals, globalist tycoons, underqualified minorities, and out-of-touch elites. Voters struggling to maintain their standards of living or make sense of a society changing rapidly around them have twice given Mr. Trump a chance to make good on his promise to blow up politics as usual and address their concerns. To his critics, Mr. Trump is narcissistic, uncouth, corrupt, and a danger to American democracy. He has used the office to enrich himself and his family, sullied the image of the United States around the world, sought to erase the true history of Black Americans, and pursued policies that harm the very people he purports to represent. What everyone agrees on is that Mr. Trump dominates the political landscape like none of his predecessors, going back generations, single-handedly setting the agenda and forcing his will on the rest of the system. At the same time, he is the most consistently unpopular president since the advent of polling. He has never had the support of a majority of Americans, not in any of his 3 presidential elections, and not for a single day of either term in Gallup surveys. His current 36% approval rating in Gallup is lower than that of every elected modern president at the end of their first year. Lower even than it was in his first term, 39%, and 7 percentage points below the next lowest, Joseph R. Biden Jr., at 43%. If compared against presidents who served 2 terms consecutively, Mr. Trump is still below each of them at the end of their 5th year, except Mr. Nixon, who had plummeted to 29% in the throes of Watergate. Some critics predict that Mr. Trump's unpopularity will begin to erode his power. It's been striking that Republicans in Congress have stuck behind him, said former Senator Jeff Flake, a Republican from Arizona who broke with Mr. Trump in the first term. But I do think that is changing. Some of it's not exactly a profile in courage, but it's looking at the electoral wins and realizing the midterms are going to be very difficult. Mr. Trump's allies dismiss that as wishful thinking by the president's critics. Mr. Miller called current polling a temporary blip that will reverse as tax cuts passed earlier this year take effect in the first couple of quarters of 2026. Once the economy rockets to where everyone's predicting it to be for Q1 and Q2, he said, that will all snap back. Bypassing limits. Presidents have been pushing the boundaries of power going back to the early days of the Republic, most aggressively during wartime. Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus even beyond the battlefield and emancipated enslaved people in rebel areas. Woodrow Wilson prosecuted critics of World War I and effectively censored some newspapers. Franklin D. Roosevelt interned more than 100,000 people of Japanese ancestry, including American citizens. In most cases, the pendulum swung back to a degree after the wars were over and security restored. In the modern era, the notion of an imperial presidency was made prominent by the book of that name, published in 1973 by the historian Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr., who had worked in John F. Kennedy's White House. Mr. Schlesinger argued that under Mr. Nixon, who refused to spend certain money appropriated by Congress, secretly bombed Cambodia, wiretapped opponents, and used government to pursue his enemies, the presidency has got out of control and badly needs new